Hey, good afternoon. It's Harry again. We're going to go over some lab slow speeds with you, particularly electric slow speeds. You guys have all seen these out there. There's plenty of them whenever you get a call for a lab. This is probably the first thing the lab man comes to you with, other than a model trimmer. Model trimmers are for another day. This is an electric handpiece, a very, very basic piece of equipment. Most manufacturers manufacture one of these. You do not require water with this handpiece. This handpiece will not run water. This handpiece is for grinding, cutting, and polishing in the lab. Although a lot of doctors have these in their private offices to trim trays and things, and acrylics, various plastics with a burr. This handpiece does not take a high-speed burr. The handpiece uses a SHP burr or an HP burr, which means straight handpiece. There are subtle differences in the shaft size as well as the shaft length. So you cannot stick the burr that is not required for the handpiece in the handpiece and expect it to perform. It will not do it. A high-speed handpiece burr will fly out of the chuck and probably into somebody's eye. Okay? Make sure you have a straight handpiece burr or a slug in your vehicle. Or either, if you don't have one, just ask the lab man, can I use a burr? They use exclusively straight handpiece burrs. Okay? You have a complaint that the handpiece is not working. You delve a little further into the handpiece problem. You're still not working. The lab man can offer you no answers. These units come where you can operate them with a foot control or without a foot control by utilizing a selector lever on the back that says F and H. It's just a basic rocker switch, just like this. H means hand operation, which means it will operate without the foot control. Allow me to demonstrate. We will pull our foot control off, set our foot control aside, and we'll make sure we're on the H setting. There we go. The handpiece runs continually. To adjust the handpiece speed, you use the facial rheostat or the facial potentiometer. As you can all hear, the speed and the noise is decreasing all the way down to its lowest speed. By the way, gentlemen, this handpiece is a torquer and it is a workhorse. There's no reason why these can't be repaired. There are parts available for them. Most parts are universal on these systems. We'll turn the power off for safety. One of the first problems you may have with this unit when you have no power, we'll go to the basics. Set your meter for 110 volts. Check your power source. And make sure that you have 110 going to the unit, which we do. We have 121.1 volts. We'll reattach the power cord. Gentlemen, this is very basic. We're chasing the power up to the unit. All the units will either have an LED indicator light or an incandescent indicator light that tells you when the unit is on. There's our LED. That lets us know that we have power to the unit. One other thing to check, on our newer units, most of our units are manufactured overseas, where 210 to 250 volts is de rigueur. Here in the United States, we use 110 volts. We have a selector switch when the power is off that we click with a screwdriver. It's plain to see the 110. You want the 110 in the window. You can select 220 to 250 volts. but nobody uses 220 volts on a handpiece here in the United States. Always use the 110 setting. Before you initialize the handpiece and use the handpiece, always double check to make sure that you are on 110. It will burn the unit up. Okay. Now let's move on. You don't think the foot control is working. The lab man says, my foot control is not working. Simple enough to check. Detach the foot control from the back of the unit. It has a standard speaker jack, stereo jack on it. Okay? Set your meter for continuity or ohms or audible continuity. I prefer audible continuity myself because I don't have to look at the meter while I'm testing. One lead inside the female socket, another lead on the outside. We have no continuity. But when we depress the foot control, we have just diagnosed and confirmed that the foot control is good. We're going to take it another step further, gentlemen, and we're also going to wiggle the wire where you have an incidence of shorting. Incidence of shorting on these wires, as you well know already, is going to occur at the entrance, egress and digress points where the wire goes into the appliance. So while you're doing continuity, you'll want to wiggle right there. If you have a short in the foot control, chances are the short is here or either here close to the plug. The continuity test that we just did will confirm or deny this. Okay. We've handled the foot control. Now it's time to handle the handpiece. The handpiece will unplug from the side of the unit. Thusly, now we have a separate handpiece. We're going to check the cord for continuity. This is an electrical cord. It's no problem. Unscrew the butt end of the handpiece. When you go to unscrew the butt end of the handpiece, it may be hard to unscrew. In a lab, you have dust, you have particle matter, you have wax, you have acrylics in various stages that get down in these threads and actually prevent them from turning. You just have to use the big arms you got and screw it off, guys. It will screw off, just keep working with it. And it will screw off with your hand. No need to put a pair of channel locks on it. Use your hands only. You do not want to score the body of the handpiece. Similar, you would not want to score the body of a doctor's high speed. Apply that rule to this. We remove the cuff, the retaining cuff, down onto the coiled cord. This coiled cord simply plugs into the back of the handpiece. No problem, simply plugs in. You have an orienting dimple that will not allow you to reverse the polarity on the handpiece. On the butt end of the handpiece, your dimple will fit here and your prongs will fit there. You'll have a selection of prongs, however, only 2 of the prongs will work. If you observe the dimple, you will never go wrong. That's what it's there for. Paul, can you see that interface okay?
Yep.
Okay. Thusly, if you feel any slop or any looseness when you're plugging this in, gentlemen, that requires further diagnosis, which we will get to in a moment. Gentlemen, we have all owned things out. We have all checked continuity. We already know how to do it. Confirm that your meter is set. 1 prong without touching the metal casing. 1 prong to 1 male prong on the other end. And we have continuity on that leg. We're going to the other prong. We'll check continuity on our other leg. This can be tough when you're by yourself. Again, I've advised you all to get alligator clips at Radio Shack so you can extend your meter leads and free your hands. You can put one end of the alligator clip on your meter lead and clip into your prongs here and free up your hands. The same rule applies on the handpiece cord. Your shorts are going to manifest where the strain relief is. is the action where they pull on the handpiece so much the wires break internally. Gentlemen, 80% of the time, this is going to be your problem with an electric handpiece. A full 80% of the time. These cords are available at Dental Fix, parts at dentalfixrx.com. I believe we stock a couple of them. This is the numero uno item, guys. Remember that. Okay, we've established that we have continuity to the handpiece, that we have a good hose, a good handpiece coil cord. Next, on the handpiece itself, the prongs transfer to a brush bracket and the brushes contact the armature shaft inside the handpiece, providing the power to turn the handpiece. Your second most replaced item on these are the brushes. I'm going to illustrate how to do your brush service. On the side of the handpiece, you'll see a small Phillips head screw. Use your eyeglass screwdriver, back the screw out. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And extract the brush, screw, and the brush bracket. These brushes are little, minuscule, delicate affairs. Do not be ham-handed, be tactile when you handle it. This indicates a healthy brush. When you see at least 7 millimeters of carbon on the brush left. Paul, can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a brand new brush. This is ideally what they will look like. However, when you take them apart, you will see them ground all the way down to here. This brush is made of carbon and it's a friction surface against the armature, and they wear. This is how the electricity is transferred to the motor in the handpiece. This is your number 2 most replaced item. Then again, available at parts at dentalfixrx.com. Do not hesitate to order them. If you have a lot of labs in your territory, you may want to stock a couple of these items. They are relatively inexpensive. And bear in mind, it's not only labs that have these, a lot of offices have these too. And it's always a good thing to repair small equipment in the office, because the big guys don't do that. They'll box it up and send it back. That's where you'll differentiate yourself from the big guys and give value added and extra service and go the extra mile for your account. To replace the brush, these screws are small. Again, be extremely tactile. It is a very easy replacement. The brush is square. The brush orifice is square. Line it up. Push it in the hole. Retain it with your left finger while you start the screw with your right hand and your screwdriver. Magnetized screwdrivers won't help with this, guys. It will not magnetize on this type of alloy that this brush is made of. You tighten your brush down very securely. Don't romp down on it, just make it a good secure fitting. On your other brush, it is the exact same procedure. You'll have 2 brushes. 2 prongs, 2 contacts, 2 brushes. That will take care of your electrical drive problems. After you put the brush in, reassemble the unit. Remember your orienting peg. Observing polarity. Reassemble the unit. Screw your cuff back on, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. All this cuff does is prevent the operator from shock and also retain the plug into the back of the handpiece to keep it from becoming unplugged while in use. No need to use the Sam Snead grip to tighten it down. A very tactile, nice, snug connection. It's plastic, it will strip and it will split. Be gentle. We're going to reattach the handpiece to the unit. We'll power the unit back up. rather than reconnect the foot control, we're going to put it on hand, and there we go. After doing that, check your potentiation, your speed, and there we go. Successful brush replacement. Okay? Check for heat, check for vibration, check for concentricity of your burr or your rotary device. By concentric, I mean the burr shaft needs to be straight, not warped, no nicks, no dings, needs to be smooth. If you have a straight burr in there, this should balance out fine and not jump in your hand. This is an example of a nice, smooth running one. We're not jumping, we're not loping. Nice and smooth and quiet and cool. Okay. Before doing any service on the handpiece, always cut the main switch off. Not for shock reasons. There's not enough current in this handpiece to hurt you, but for mechanical reasons in the handpiece. These handpieces have a forward and reverse switch. If you're going to go from forward to reverse, cut the machine off. Do not make a transition from forward to reverse with the handpiece turning or the electricity on. You don't go from forward to reverse in your car while the car is still moving. Same analogy on the handpiece. Let the handpiece stop, cut the power off, then switch your reverse toggle. Turn your handpiece back on. Simple as that. It will burn the unit up if you make the transition while the handpiece is moving. Okay. The next common complaint with these are chucks. The lab man gives you the handpiece and said, "It's not holding my burr. My burr keeps flying out." Same thing as on a high speed. That's an indication of a bad chuck. However, this handpiece is electric and it does not have a turbine in it. So it doesn't merit rebuilding the turbine to replace the chuck. The chuck is very easy to replace, gentlemen. Very, very, very easy. With your power off, take your burr out by opening the chuck. Leave the chuck open. And by the way, gentlemen, never run a high speed or a slow speed or any kind of handpiece with a chuck in it without a burr in it. It will damage the collets on the chuck, and the chuck will be damaged, and it will never work right after that. Okay? All that being said, what we're going to do is disassemble the top of the handpiece to access the chuck. Simply hold the base of the handpiece, hold the nose cone, turn. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, guys. Keep turning and be very gentle. You have a spring and a collet. Lay your handpiece aside. We are concerned with the nose cone. This is your nose cone. This is called a drive dog. The correct term is drive dog, okay? You can call it a drive shaft, you can call it a transfer shaft, you can stick whatever monkey ear you want on it, but it's a drive dog. In the bottom of the drive dog, which is Delrin in plastic, we have a slot. That slot, actually, there's a tongue that goes in the slot that drives the dog from the motor. And on top of that, that slot allows us to service this handpiece. If you guys don't have these tools, parts at dentalfixrx.com. Perhaps the lab man will have the tools. Do not go at this with a pair of pliers, guys. Okay? Use the right tools or you will regret it. And me too. In the slot, you'll insert your key. That key is actually acting as the motor on the handpiece, and it's locking the shaft down. You'll see the chuck is a tripartite type of chuck, which meaning 3 pieces compose the chuck of 3 collets. You'll see a pyramidal notch in your wrench. You slide the pyramidal notch on your wrench, which means it has 3 sides, down on the top of the chuck. While you're holding your lock key. Turn your lock key lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and extract the chuck. It will screw out, guys. It will take it a moment, but it's going to come out. You just have to be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day. Let's see if we can turn it with our hands now. You can also turn from the shaft, guys. Turn counterclockwise till your chuck comes out. I know you guys think this is taking a long time. In the scheme of things, it's nothing. See if the chuck is ready to pull. These things have a lot of threads on them to varying degrees. There we go. If that gives you any indication of how long it takes, guys, that's how long it takes. This is your chuck, gentlemen. They're inexpensive. Stock a couple of them. This is one of the most common things with the handpiece. It's also one of the most easily repairable items on the handpiece, guys. Okay? Our goal with this video is to help you keep some of your money and also to alleviate postage and everything, sending it to SER when you can easily do this procedure in the truck or in the doctor's office with the right tools and the right parts. Okay. We're going to reinstall our chuck. And it goes in the same way it came out, guys. We're going to hold our retainer key, either hold the chuck and turn the retainer key, or use our wrench to tighten it back in. For demonstrative purposes, we're going to use the wrench, guys, okay? And it's going to take as long to screw it back in as it did to screw it out. Okay? And get her in there good and snug, guys. Make sure you bottom out, or the chuck will not perform correctly. And again, never run this without a burr in it. Any handpiece, any quick chuck, without a burr or the cutting instrument. Okay? Now, we've bottomed out and we're tight. We'll lay our wrench aside. We'll take our stop key out of the drive dog, set it aside. When you take your stop key out of the drive dog, bear in mind this is nylon. It's not metal. It's softer than metal. So when you insert your key, Make sure that you get a good solid insert and there's no slop in it, otherwise you will strip out the drive dog. When inserting and extracting, make sure you pull out straight, don't pull out to the side, don't pull up, don't pull down, pull straight out. Take and tap everything, make sure all your springs are seated, and we're good. With your retainer spring in the nose cone of the handpiece, hold it to the side, insert, compress the spring while you screw the nose cone back on. There we go, it caught. Very simple, guys. Screw, 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 screw. We're snug. Then again, this isn't taking the strength of Hercules, it's taking the tactility of Oedipus, okay? We'll open our chuck back up, reinsert our rotary instrument because we never run one without a burr in it, and also we're going to do a burr check. Excellent. Our burr is retaining, gentlemen. Our burr is retaining, okay? It means the chuck's working and we've had a successful chuck replacement. We are going to turn the box back on. We'll put it on forward and we'll hit hand. Very good. Now, we're going to let the handpiece stop. We've cut the power off. We're going to go to reverse. Run it again for a few seconds to seat everything and to make sure everything is functional. Turn the power back off. Open your chuck. Check for ease of removal and ease of insertion of the burr. Just like on a half speed, guys. Just like on a high speed, okay? Lock your chuck back in. That concludes your burr replacement. With your can of air that I have asked you guys to carry, or either with the syringe on the truck, without the water, using the air side only, while you have the bottom cover off, take and blow the dust out of the handpiece. Same down in the chuck, remove the burr from the chuck, blow a little air down in it to clear the dust out of the chuck and out of the inner workings of the handpiece before you reassemble. Okay? Gentlemen, never, ever, ever try to change a burr on this handpiece while it's running. Let the handpiece stop. To do anything on this handpiece, stop the handpiece totally. Do not let it run. If you have no power to the base unit, 4 components, handpiece, handpiece cord, foot control, and base unit. If you don't have the LED on the base unit, let me see if I can make it a little easier for you guys to see the LED. Can you see that, Paul? You see your LED illuminate? Or either your incandescent power indicator. Okay? If that doesn't illuminate and you've got 110 coming out of the line, there's something wrong in the box just by deductive reasoning. Okay? Turn the power off. Take the plug out. Make sure we're cut off. Turn your unit over very gently. We're going to remove the cover screws. Guys, these simple steps will save you a lot of money in postage and shipping. And like I said, will actually help you make more money. Give you a quicker turnaround. It's a good thing all the way around. Okay, we have our cover screws off. We're going to set the unit back down in situ. Gently lift the top of the unit. Set the cover aside. Try not to disconnect any wires, because if you don't disconnect them, you don't have to worry about where to reconnect them. Okay? These are Molex plugs, but several Molex plugs will fit in several outlets on this. If you do have to disconnect a Molex plug, gentlemen, take a picture of it with your cell phone or write out a brief schematic. It will save you an hour detective work on a 15-minute repair. Okay? We have a transformer and various switches. The switches in board service are not field serviceable. If you feel you have a board problem or a transfer problem, pack it up, send it into SER. By the way, gentlemen, if you do send one of these into SER, send everything. Foot control, base unit, cord. They're interdependent. One thing could affect another one. It's impossible for us at SER to make a good diagnosis unless we have all the components, which is another good reason for you to try to do it in the field. Okay? We're going to move over here and we're going to find our fuse. One fuse in the unit. Okay? Can everybody see the fuse? Paul, can you see the fuse at the tip of my finger? Now, we're going to extract the fuse, like so, very easy. And using our handy dandy meter, which is everything to us in this profession. Ohm out first, audible continuity. Bada bing, good or bad fuse. If it's bad, you're not going to get continuity, you're not going to get any audible. Replace the fuse. The fuses are available from us or either from Radio Shack. Okay, don't overamp the fuse. Don't overamp the fuse, use the correct fuse. The fuses are somewhat readily available, guys. You just reinsert your fuse. Make sure we have a good connection on the fuse. Before you reassemble the unit, set all the conductive items aside, set your part aside, look and make sure no trash is dropped on the board, that you haven't dropped metal on the board to short anything out. Plug your unit back in, power it up, make sure you have an LED. There we go. We have LED, which means we have power. Reconnect the handpiece. Be careful where you touch on the board. You can retain on the top of the transformer. The board is powered. Also, make sure you have the hand to foot switch off too. Turn your hand switch back on. There you go. Now, you haven't put the covers back on and everything, and then have to take the covers back off because you've got a loose connection on the fuse. Always check it with the covers off before you reassemble. Turn your power off. Unplug the machine. Disconnect the handpiece. Be very gentle disconnecting the handpiece. Handpiece will only go one way. It's a microphone jack. Very easy. Put your covers back on and reassemble your unit. Inserting the screws, the base. Put your handpiece back in the holder. Keep a little bit of alcohol or some lacquer thinner with you and wipe the case off the unit and make it look presentable, make it look like you took pride in it. Any questions on this procedure or these procedures can be directed to me, Paul Sost, or either Eddie, okay? Thank you very much for your time. I hope this was informative. Then again, any further questions or comments, please contact me. Have a good day.